You know, I could automatically set it up to record, but then it's going to record all the silliness, like all the stuff we had a little while ago. All right, so you put those couple of dots there at the top. And then if you've got a lighter blue, if you don't, mix your whatever color blue you've got, mix it with some white. And I'm just going to put a couple dots up here of this lighter blue. There, maybe that's her. Oh, she's trying to get in on this one. Aha, it's because I switched this as the main one. Okay. This meeting is being recorded. Got it. And I want to see if she's trying to come in. Hang on. I don't see her. We're good. All right. So you've got a couple of dots of the light blue at the top and some dark blue in the corners. And we want to bring the dark, we want the sky to look a little darker towards the top. And I'll show you what I mean. So you see how it's a little, oh my God, now what? Okay. It's a little darker at the top. And then it gets lighter. It also looks very almost sloppy for you who are a perfectionist. Sharon, you're a little bit of a perfectionist. I don't know, Linda, but you know, this painting is very loose. The strokes are very, very loose. And the technique that you use is like crossing over. And I'll show you what I mean. So right now we're just going to start with those couple colors at the top. We want to bring this dark on the corners and across the top just little. And what we're going to do is we're not going to go like this. We're not going to go like this. We're going to X. Little swift, little swaying of your hand. So I'm going to take my brush and just go like this. Do you see what I'm doing? Just up and back. Yeah. You want to see some strokes like that on your painting. And I'm going to do the two sides first with the darker color. And your brush just goes up and back. You can actually make X's if you want. Keep hearing a dinging, but I don't see her. So you're just going to go up and back. And you're going to take that right across the top. You want big strokes. You want to see those strokes. Now we're going to start to bring some of the lighter blue down, and we're going to go about a third of the way down. So if you want to just make a couple lines so you know where you're going to, how far down you're going, that'll just give you an idea to not go any further than that. I'm going to put some dots. You can put it on your palette if you want, or you can do it the way I'm doing it. And now I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to do that same idea, just that really free flowing strokes, just like so. And your brush is going to kind of tap your canvas as you're doing it, just stroking it like that. Different directions, just kind of like an X direction, up and back. And you can blend some of that into that darker color up there. We're going to put some white in there in a second. You just want all these different strokes to show up. And once you get the hang of it, you can actually go faster if you care to. Feel really bad that Lenny's not in. I don't know what's going on with her. So your hand goes quickly if you're comfortable with that, and just up and back, fast little pouncy kind of X strokes. And then you can do your side and top just as far down as you went with your blue. Just run it across there. And you want to bring that dark blue into it a little bit. So you're going to put your brush up there and kind of crisscross, bring it down into that lighter blue a little bit. Just kind of pouncing it. And now I'm just taking my brush and actually pouncing where the two colors are blending. I'm pouncing my brush there. Kind of. So you see a textured sky. And you're going to want to get, once you've done that, you're going to want to put a little tiny bit of white. So maybe instead of actually putting it, dotting it on your canvas, just put a little bit of white on your palette. And you can really take that same brush and just dip it in the white like that. And you want your white to be more down in this area here. So on the lower section in here, a little bit in here. And you're just going to do that kind of pouncy up and back thing. So just kind of tap it and then bring some of the white over there first before we get it off our brush. And then tap it in like you're doing like cloud. Okay. So you got your white there. You're going to tap some white over here. The tree is going to go over there, so you're not going to see a lot of it, but you need to have some. Just enough. Your blue is going to blend right in with it, so it's really going to look more of a light blue, but you've got some white showing up there. You're going to have trees right here, so you don't need a lot there. You can put a little bit in that area. I'm going to put a little more white on my brush, and I'm going to put some over here and just pounce it in. Give it a cloud look. As I said, there's going to be trees there, so you don't need a lot. When you pounce it, it resembles clouds. So you see now, it looks like just a bunch of rumbly clouds up there. If you want them whiter, you can put more white there. And I'm just bringing it across a little bit here so that it's a little bit straighter to work with. So you should have darker in the corners a little bit and across, just a little bit of dark across the top. Then it starts to get lighter, and then you've got some bouncy white clouds right there. The next step we're going to do is we're going to work on the whole rest. So the 2/3 of the bottom, we're going to make that a green color. And we're going to start with a darker green. So if you want to use that same brush, if you like the way it was doing those little Xy type of strokes, then you're going to want to rinse off that brush because you don't really want to bring the blue down there. So just rinse it off real nice and then wipe it on a rag. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean, but just so you don't have tons and tons of paint on there. And now if you have a couple of colors of green, we're going to use 2 colors. If you don't, then if you have a darker green like this one, then we're going to start with that. And then on your palette, you're going to mix the green with some white to give it the lighter look on the bottom. If you have a little yellow floating around somewhere close to you, you can use a little yellow if you're mixing a light green. But let's start with our dark green. I'm going to put some on my palette, not a whole lot. So I've put this much on there. That's not much. There's my thumb. We're going to start with that. And we're gonna get our brush nice and full. And we're gonna start by, it's almost gonna just look like a stripe going across there, but I want it more on that pouncy way of putting the strokes. And we're gonna just start right where we left off with the blue. And we're gonna start tapping in there, tapping like that. You don't need it to be straight. And remember, it's grass, so it's gonna be just going up there and meeting that skyline. And you're gonna do the same thing. That's gonna go all the way across the canvas now. And you should have some of your white, might not be dry yet. And that's good because it's gonna blend nice. You'll be able to see a little bit of white behind the green. Now, I didn't put quite enough green on my palette, so I have to put some more on. And I'm just gonna go like this. I seriously feel bad about Linny. I know she was trying to get in. I didn't see her, but I heard it. So we've just kind of made the sky is meeting the ground, or the ground is meeting the sky here, like that. The greens are different shades. They're not all just one solid dark green. And I'm going to bring it down a little lower. It's going to come almost halfway, about halfway down the canvas now. We're going to tap in that green. So it should start to look like, you know, you're really outside and looking at the ground and the sky. You should start to be able to see that. Tapping it in. You can do the side there, that green. Just like so. And you can make it darker in some spots just by putting a little thicker paint when you're tapping, and lighter in others. Once you've got that now, so you're probably now more than halfway down your canvas. Now we're going to start to work on a lighter green. So either you've got a light green, or you're going to take your dark green that you've been working with. If you only have one shade, you're going to mix a little bit of white in it. And if you've got some yellow, you're going to mix some yellow in with it. You're going to create your own green. You want a lighter green. And then you're going to mix it up. So white, if you don't have a light green, mix white, the dark green, a touch of yellow, and just don't stir too hard, because you'll end up putting the paint all over the palette and not where you need it. So I have mixed and come up with this light green here, but see how it's a little bit yellowy? And some of the dark green is showing through. So when I'm putting it on, that's going to look good. Now we're going to go with this light green right to the bottom. The one side, when you're looking at your painting, the right-hand side is going to have a tree, and it's stump, and it's going to come right to the bottom, but you're still going to paint it the green. And down in this area, there's going to be that rope coming off the tree. There's going to be some kind of brown stones or dirt, but still we're going to go with this green right down to the bottom, and then we'll work with it after. So now you're going to do exactly what you did up here. You're going to do with your lighter green. And I want you to blend it in with what you've got up there at the top, first of all. So I'm blending it. I don't want it to look like a line. So I'm tapping it and blending it. And now I'm going to go to this side, tap. Just tap. And we can put some darker green in with that. If you still got dark green there, just tap some dark green in. So it doesn't just look like a solid mass of this light green now. You're going to want to have a little bit of dark green there so you can play around with it. Take your light green, keep tapping it on. You want
Debbie, how
to
do I
see,
mute?
pardon?
How do I mute myself? I'm going to turn a dryer on.
You're going to put a dryer on?
Yes. I just don't want to drown you out. How do I mute
Oh, that's okay.
myself?
Go ahead. You can mute yourself. It will say, it should, if you go to your name, there should be a
Okay.
spot or up at the corner, it's the right-hand corner of your picture up in there. Usually the mute, it says mute. Do you see it?
Not really. If I
Here,
bother
I can
you.
mute you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we're just tap, tap, tapping. We want to make sure, like I said, that there's not just the solid light. You're going to be touching a little bit of the dark green on your brush. So it's looking like maybe the grass is blowing a little bit. You're seeing the dark and the light together. Tap it in so you see those strokes. You don't want solid lines here. It's supposed to look like grass. And I just put a little dark on my brush and I'm tapping some of that. And if you look, you can see how you can see some dark and some light all over the place. It's not just solid. Like otherwise it would be solid green, dark green, solid light green. You know, it doesn't look good. So you want to just tap your brush with the two greens. Once you've got a lot of the light green, then you can tap some dark green in there. And if you just tap it on there, it looks really natural. It looks like grass. The right-hand side isn't that important that it looks perfect because that will be covered with the tree. And wouldn't you know it, I'm right at the bottom and I ran out of green. So I got to put a little bit more on my tray. Got my light green and I'm tapping. Different shades of green are showing up now. And I'm going to go right down to the bottom, the sides. Make sure you do that now. Once you get your green to where you think it looks really good, then leave it alone so it will dry because we got work to do on top of that now. And I ran out of green again. Wow, I'm using a lot of green. Just have to have enough to the side. So it should have that similar kind of a look. You want to just tap some more, dip in a little bit of the darker green, not a whole lot, on your tip of your brush, and tap some darker green in some spots. You can do that. Make sure you tap it out when you put it there. Don't just, not just a big blob, but tap it in. So the next step is to let this dry. And we can then start working on our little trees, and we're going to work on our we'll probably put the car in, the trees, and then the car. Then we'll work on the big stump. And the last thing we'll be doing is the rope or chain or whatever that is, wire, the wire that goes across. So if you wanted to use your hair dryer, you can feel free to do that now. And I have to find mine, but you can feel free to get that done. So I took a trip up to London to see my son and his family, the grandkids, the babies, the little ones. It was my first time really out of the house doing anything. It was great. Finally get out. I'm just air drying this right now. See, this little area I'm using is part of our bedroom. It's a kitchen area in our bedroom. I know that sounds silly, but it's an in-law suite actually, and we made it into our bedroom. So we both use this area, and sometimes my husband moves things, and I seriously don't know where my little dryer thing is. It's nowhere, so I'm just air drying it. Usually have it over in the corner, but this is drying nicely. See what I'm doing? It's like I'm flagging. Well, this is much better being able to see you. Now, I know there's 3 people that couldn't come on tonight. One said she might be late, but that's going to be not too good for her. But it is being recorded, so they'll all be able to watch it. Are you dry over there? Are you guys dry? Yes, Sharon? Oh, so you're all waiting for me. Meantime, I'm here flagging away. Okay. All right. So we want to work on the trees that are right here. And you want the trees to just be, you don't want to spend ages on these trees. All they are is, you know, they're trees. Okay, you're not going to spend forever on them. I started spending too much time on there, and this is my fast painting, right? So it actually started to look really sloppy because I spent too much time. This is a really free and easy style that we're using. So I'm going to show you the black and white one, because you can see, if you look close at that, all it is really is, it's kind of like tapping. And we're going to start probably with the darker green, and then we're going to put some lighter green or a little white mixed in, and just do some little highlights there. See, so you can see it's darker green in the background. Like I said, I wanted it to be black and white so you could just get the feel of what that looks like. So you see how it's darker. So we're going to start with the darker, and we're just going to tap, and we don't want it to be a blob. We want it to look like it's more than one tree. So we leave a little bit of space in between these little dabs that we're going to do with the tip of our brush. And then we're going to afterwards go in and put some of the lighter color on top of it to give it some highlighting. So if you kind of watch me, I'm sure you know how to do this because you're all good at this. You're all excellent. So we have to decide, what brush are we going to use? So I wouldn't use, this doesn't necessarily need a fan brush, because you're not, unless you want to do that sort of leaf. I would just use a brush that's got a nice little end on it. See that? Like it's just actually that's a angled brush. You don't need an angled brush, but that is an angled brush. So I'm going to use that one. There's other kinds of brushes that you could use. Here's a little square one. There's another square one. That kind of brush would be good. So just something not real big, not as big as what you've been using, a little smaller. And all you're going to do is the top of your brush. So I'm going to try this one first. This is like a natural hair brush. I don't always like them. They just go really fast, you know, but we're going to try. So we want our trees to be up around this high. So if you brought some clouds down, but so if you look at the top of your painting and you go down to the bottom of where you have the blue, you're going to go up about halfway, and that's where you want your trees to come, no farther up than that. Now I've got this paint on the end, not on the sides. See, nothing on the sides, just on the end. And I'm going to take it and go straight down, okay, not sideways. And I'm going to tap in leaves. You don't want to see a lot of leaves. You're not going to see a stump. You're just going to create the illusion of a tree. So I'm just going to start here. You see what I just did there? I'm just tapping. I'm creating the illusion of a tree. I'm leaving space in between. And you can make any shape tree that you want. I got to do some more green here. You might think that it looks really yucky, but once you get everything in there, you're going to find out that that's all you really needed. Kind of like you're making bushes, actually. And once you've got that darker green, if you have some of that lighter green that you created, or you have a lighter green already, then you're going to put some on your tray if you don't have some already. And we're going to tap in here and there some lighter green. So I'm going to show you this brush. You see why I don't like using that brush? Look what it did. Look at it. Do you see the tip of it? It's all like yucky. And to get that back to, it's just too soft. It's a natural hair brush, and I don't recommend them really. So that's going to the wayside. And I'm going to get myself a little bit harder brush. Now I'm going to take the light green and I'm going to put it on the tip of the brush. And I'm going to put some light green here and there in there. You don't need a whole, a little bit of color in there. And as I said, you're going to see that that's actually going to look good soon. You might be a little concerned about it, but just if you can tap on top of what you just put in there, if you think it's too blobby, blend it a little bit more. You want to see a couple of shades of green. That's the whole purpose behind this. You know, when you're looking at a tree, you don't always see one shade. There's different shades. The wind is blowing, so the leaves are turning. You see dark, you see light. It's the same with grass. You don't always see the same shade. So I kind of got those trees back there. They look okay. I don't want them to be perfect. People aren't going to be concentrating on the tree. They're going to be concentrating on, well, in actuality, the tree stump and the car are the two things that people really see when they look at this. Everything else just kind of blends, and the wire. But when you look, you see the first thing really, you see your eye goes to this stump and then immediately over to the car. And then you'll look at the wire. This is all secondary. As much time as we're spending on this, it's secondary. It's not the most important part. If you want the sky to look a little bit cloudy, but this is the main two things that they're going to look at. Okay. So we're going to start. I don't know how dry your stuff is. I kind of blobbed mine, especially where the lighter green is. So it's not quite dry, but it's okay. If you're dry, that's what's important, because this is about you, not me. So what we're going to do is, if you have a stencil, then you are going to get a piece of chalk or whatever you're going to use to put it on there. With this, actually, chalk is the best, but if you have a marker, you can use it if it's dry. If it's not dry, your marker is not going to really work on here. And you want your tree, but right the top, your car, the top of your car is going to be where the bushes ended. So we're going to place our car about the top of it where the bushes end. You want to have some room on the left, more room on the right. So I'm going to put it there. And unfortunately, I'm not dry here, so I don't know how much this is going to show up. But that's my car. So now I'm going to outline as best as I can to show you what we're going to do here. So I've got chalk and I'm going to go around. Like I said, it's not going to be the greatest because it's not dry. But for all of us, the main thing is that we know the size of the car that we're doing. My chalk is not showing up. Just get an idea. So my chalk did not show up good. It did over on this side, but certainly not over here because it was wetter over there. But we know now that's where the car is going to go. Right there. So the next color we're going to work with, if I'm going too fast, tell me. You can unmute yourself and say, slow down. The next color we're going to work with is going to be the red, because we're going to outline the entire car. We're going to do it in red. Eventually, we're going to put a lot of black around it, not totally, but we're going to outline the black. But we're going to start to do the car, outline it in red first. Just hang on, I'm trying to get this green back in the bottle before it gets too yucky. You know me, I like to save things. I'm frugal. Too frugal sometimes. Okay, got that off of there. All right, so we're going to shake up our red, make sure it's a nice dark red. Now, if you don't want a red Volkswagen, no problem. You want to make it gray. You want to put flowers all over it, whatever you want to do with it. I'm going to make it red because I'm going to try to do it exactly as I've showed you in the picture. So now I'm going to outline the car. And I'm going to start. Now this is going to be covered down here with grasses, but you can put a line across there so you know what you're working with. You're going to paint over it anyway. And the other thing is that you're going to have your headlights. So you can take the tip of your paint here and you can put your headlights in so you know what you're working with. Now these old cars, these have pretty big headlights. And because it's kind of a bit of a caricature, the headlights are going to be really big. Do you see how big they are? So we're going to make really big headlights. So let's just get the idea of them right now. And don't worry, you're going to fill that in with kind of a gray color. So just try to put the headlights where you want them at this moment. It's going to be filled in with gray. I'm just making the size. I'm not concerned about that the center is getting covered. I'm just setting it up to where I want it to be. Once I've got those about where I want them, now I'm going to put the actual window in also. So we're gonna outline it first. We're gonna outline it in black eventually, but as I said, right now we're doing everything in the red. So we don't want the window way down from the top. And we want it in a bit, so I guess all I can do is paint it and then show you. So it's gonna come like this. It curves. And it curves down. And then when it gets here, it kind of curves just a little bit up and down. Not much. So that's sort of an idea. And once you've got that, now you can take your red paint and paint your car, leaving your window and your headlights and everything. You're going to probably do more than one coat. Now it looks like I have little bitty headlights, but actually my headlights are all the way around. You can see that I've got the lighter color. So I've got that in there, and we can go back and make it a little darker, or we could just leave it. I kind of like, looks almost like I've got it highlighted. So if you have a really small brush to do your outlining of your car, then you're going to put a little bit of black on your tray. We'll be using black in the tree too. So if you put a little too much, you're okay. And you take a smaller brush, and you don't want a brush, again, if I'll show you, this is too soft of a brush. I wouldn't want to use that because it's not going to work. So I'm going to use, I have a little black brush here. What did I just do with it? Probably put it in the water. Yeah. So I have a small brush. It's one of those brushes I told you that I use. It's a makeup brush. It's just a small brush. I'm going to use that. And I'm dipping it in the black, and I don't want too much on it. And now I'm going to go around the car, but I'm not going to go around the whole car. So when you're looking at it, the right-hand side of the car, I'm not going to put any outline right here. No outline. I'm going to go part way across the top. You watch. I guess maybe the first thing I'll do is the trim of the window. So I'm going to outline the window. And I'm going to go across the bottom. When you go across the bottom of the window, remember you curve up just a slight and then back down. I'm going to outline part of the car. So I'm going to start at the top here and go around a little bit of it, pressing with the black. And I'm not going to go all the way down. I'll show you what I'm doing. And then over here, I want it to have that bumper look. So I have to curve it a little bit. You see what I just did there? See what I did there? I left a space there a little bit, and then I just curved that black just enough so it's giving it that depth and it looks like that bumper. I'm not doing it on this side. And I want to do a little bit here too. So I'm going to go where the window is, and I'm going to bring it down like that. And then over here, I want it to look kind of like the trunk or the hood. So you give that little look there around the lights, and it resembles, gives the illusion that the hood of the car is there. And then you actually want to go around the lights with your black. We're gonna put some gray in there in a little bit. And we're going to put white in there all along this black so it doesn't look so harsh. There's going to be grasses coming up here. Inside the car, we have 2 seats. So we're just going to we're going to look at about where the middle is, and we're going to move over. We're going to make a little seat there, the back of the seat. And one on the other side. And we will put some other color in there in a little bit. I don't know if you have any white on your tray. If you don't, you're going to put a tiny drop of white. Tiny, tiny. Little tiny drop of white. You can see that little tiny, tiny drop of white. It's really tiny. And we're gonna touch the black with our brush. A little dab of black on the end of your brush, and you're gonna tap it into that white that you just put there. And you're gonna create a gray. Make a nice gray. And then you're gonna paint your headlights gray. And we'll put a little white in there in a few minutes when that dries better. What I'm doing right now is I'm just taking some red, and where we put that black little line kind of around them to make that hood look, I'm just taking some red now and I'm blending it in with it. I'm allowing the black to blend in with the red. So it's giving the separation of the car from the hood, but it's not standing out too strong. You just want it to stand out a bit. And the bottom of it's going to be covered with grass, so you don't have to worry about this bottom part down here, just so that the top looks pretty cool. So all you want to do is have your hood just a little bit of shading and highlighting in there so it stands out. That's all. Just so it, when you're looking at it, you can tell that it's maybe a separate section of the car. I put a little drop of white on this brush, and I'm just bringing in a little bit of white inside that headlight. And just play around with it a little bit until you're happy with it. And then we'll move to the next step. While that's drying, we'll work a little bit on the tree. I think I'll put a little bit of gray around the edge, on the right-hand edge of the car. And up in the headlight area, a little bit of gray where you've got that black. Kind of a grayish white. When you look up close, it's not going to look right, but when you look at it from the far, it's going to look good. If you want to put a little mirror in there, you can, in hanging down there from the in between the two seats, you can do that. Make it look a little more realistic. I'm doing a little bit of shading on the right-hand side. I find the bigger the picture, the more it needs the shading. That smaller one I didn't necessarily need that outline, but the bigger one appears to need it. So I'm putting a little bit of black around it. That's up to you if you want to do that. I just think that this painting is kind of large to not have it. Yeah, that looks better. So we can go back to that. We can go back to the car after. Let's work on some other stuff here, because we want to put a little more coloring. Okay, so let's get working on the tree stump. So I'm going to go back to that bigger brush that I started with when I did the background. You're going to probably want that too, a larger brush. You're going to want to wash it off. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be working with brown. I hope I told you to have brown. I thought I did. We're going to start with brown. If you don't have brown, use black. Because then we can put some white and gray in the tree if you don't have brown. So we're going to use brown if you've got it. And we're going to start with one shade. This tree comes way up there. And we can actually start from the bottom and go up. And when it gets to the, excuse me, to the top, it just gets a little bit, it goes out a little bit. Instead of going straight, it just goes out just a teeny bit. And then there's that circular thing, but we'll put that on once we get the tree stump where we want it. So the first line we're going to make, let's actually start from the top and go to the bottom. So we want it to be way up here. And it's going to be out just a teeny bit and then start to go down. So it just went out a teeny bit, down, down, down. It doesn't have to be straight. And just keep going. If you run out of paint, that's okay. We'll go back and fix it. You want that line to be continuous. So you see, I started to run out of paint there, but that's okay. And then we're going to make that a little thicker. So again, it goes out. And we're going to go to about that far. And then we have a branch that comes off of that branch. So that branch goes out like that. And that's what I want you to do. So you've got your wide branch. I'm going to fix this a little bit. We're going to put that top to it. And this branch is going to, it's not going to be skinny like that. Don't worry. I'm not crazy. It's going to actually, no. So now we're going to fill in what we just did here. If you ran out of paint like I did, let's fill that in first. Again, you don't want it to be straight. If it's got some bumps, that's better. And now we're going to fill in this whole area, because we are looking at a large tree here, but we're only seeing a portion of it. And the tree is up closer to us than the car. The car's in the background, the tree's up close. Remember the side and the bottom to do that in the brown. Probably looks yucky to you right now, but we're going to put some colors, some black and a little bit of white, and it's going to look good. And we want this circular thing at the top. So I'm going to make it brown to start with, and then I'm going to outline it in black. So right where you did this top piece up here, we're going to give it this circular look. Just like that. Don't mind what I just did there. I'm going to fix that. And then this is going to come down like that. Okay. We're going to outline that in black in a little while. I'm just doing this so you can see what we're doing. So that where I have it light, that's what you want to do. Now we're going to fix that a little bit with the brown. And you're going to fill that intersection in with kind of that gray color that you created. So it's a lighter color, and then we're going to outline it in black. And you don't really want it perfectly circular. You want a little, it's not supposed to look perfectly circular. Kind of goes down a little bit. It's a tree trunk that was broken. So we're going to throw a little black in there. We're going to put a little white in there. this is where you're going to use your creative juices. You're going to follow what I'm showing you, but it's not going to look exactly like mine. So I'm going to take this black. I'm going to go around it a bit. And I'm just going to put some black in the middle. You want it to look like it was broken. And so you're going to throw a little bit of white in there. So make sure you have a little white on your tray. And you're going to put the white, kind of put some off in the corner there. A little more black. Just keep playing with it till it looks like the way you want it to look. Sometimes that has to dry a little. So when it's drying, you can start to outline your tree with a little black, bringing it down. And again, when you're outlining, you don't necessarily have to do the whole thing. Now I'm going to take a fan brush and I'm going to make some black streaks going through the tree. And if you don't like something you've done, remember, you just go over it, okay? So I'm not going to necessarily take my brush this way. I'm going to do it more vertically. So I'm just going to bring some lines down my tree. You want it to look weathered. Like it's been around for a while, like some of us. Okay, and now I'm taking a little white on the tip of my fan brush, and I'm just going to throw a little white in there in a few spots. Not a whole lot. And just play with the tree. You can put like a hole there, like maybe an animal lives in there. I'll do that right here. Again, you don't want it to look perfectly straight. So I'm giving it some weathered look to it. There's a little hole over there. Maybe I'll put some more black up here. Like I said, just play around with it. So then you see, oh, wow, I got too much black. So then you throw a little white or a little brown. Okay. So when you look at it, you can decide if you want, like I'm making this tree just a little wider because I felt it looked too narrow at the top. So I've just added a little teeny bit of brown and I'm going to put a little bit of black there. And that's that. So the next step is we're going to put some grasses around this tree. And it just goes around the tree. It's like that, I mean, around the car. It's like that car has been sitting there forever and grass is growing there. So if you see this, the grass is all around the front of the car. All the grass is, and you can use a fan brush if you want to. I wouldn't. I would use a small brush, but you might like that look with the fan brush. You're going to need green again. You're going to need light and dark green. So those shades that you had before. And I'm taking a small little brush that I've got. These are from the dollar store, I think, or they might have been Michael's in a package, but I think they're a dollar store, the blue handled ones. And I'm just going to put some paint on the end of my brush and just start from where the grass is growing and pull up on the tree with small ones, little small ones and bigger ones. And that's all you do is just pull up, start underneath the car, pull up different lengths. And then you're going to put some light green in there too. Right now we're working with the dark green and we don't want them all in the same direction. Grass doesn't grow all the same. It's going to be different heights, different directions, up and down, to the right, to the left, a little bit, like it's blowing type of look. And you're starting with your dark, first of all, okay? So they can be even up as high as the, going right into the headlight. And these go beyond the car a little bit. So if you see what I'm doing, do you see how the grass is just growing around the car? All grass around the car. I'm going to take some of my lighter green and I'm going to bring some lighter green grasses in there too. See how it's looking? Do you see where I have the dark green and the light green? So I'm just bringing some of the light green in, and the grass is going in different directions, blowing different ways, growing different ways, different heights, small little grasses, bigger grasses. And again, I can't tell you how to do that. That's your decision. But we want all grass around the car. And under the car, you want it to be a little bit pouncing under the car where the grasses are growing. So you want a little of the light and a little of the dark green down there. Because you don't want, right now, this looks like it's just a straight line. And I don't want it to look like that. See down here at the bottom of the car, it just looks like a straight line. We don't want that. So we want to have grasses coming up and different levels of grass growing there. So the same as you've got like little points at the top, you want the bottom to look like that too. So the grass is just different levels growing. All this grass around there. And we're almost got a little bit more to go. I was at Walmart and they had all these markers on sale. You'd think I would have bought them. I had them in my hand. I was going to put them in the cart. And then Larry said, "Oh, what do you need those for?" And I put them all back, which was a dumb move. Oh boy. So I'm going to use a marker and start to draw the wire to show you what it's going to look like. This wire has to go around the tree. It's goes across the whole painting under the grass. You don't go over the grass because you want to be able to see that car in the grass. So I'm going to first make a little line where the wire is going to go. And this wire is supposed to be tied. So we have two separate sections, and I'm going to do it in paint after I do it. And what we do to make this wire, if you can just look up for a second. So first you put the wire that goes around the tree, and there's going to be two sections of the wire. It's going to be thicker. I'm doing it with a marker. And then to do this wire, you just do a squiggly. You see that? So it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Try to keep it about the same distance, and we're going to do it all the way across till we get to almost the bottom, not quite, about an inch up from the bottom. You're just going to keep doing these little squigglies, and then you're going to do it the other way. Down, up, down, up. Down. So all I did was have that go all the way across. Do you see that? All the way across to almost the bottom. And then we're going to do that same idea, only they're going to go on the opposite side. And I guess the only way to do that, to show you that, is to actually show you that. I just got to get this marker working better. So we're not going to make great big space. We're going to try to keep it fairly close. So I'm going to start here and go out, and then out. I'm going to hold it up and show you so you see what I mean. Do you see that? So right where I did the squiggly, like it was like this, now I'm going and going the other way, and up and down and up and down. So it looks like this little squiggly. Do you see that? And it doesn't have to be perfect. You just don't want a lot of big space in between. So you're just going to keep doing that. And you can have it come as close together as you want. They can be really close together. And you're going to do that right until you get to the bottom. Like so. It just looks like a little chain thing. And you're going to do, like, you know, when the wire is tied together sometimes, and there's a little bit of, like, you can see the ends of the wire where it's tied. So we're going to do some of that in a couple of spots. And you're just going to, right where the wire joins, you're just going to do like a big X. And that looks like it's been tied. And then we're going to go maybe all the way over here and do another one. And usually we have one on the tree, but the wire that goes around the tree, I really want it to be thicker than just with the marker. So I'm going to use some darker color. Now you can use a different shade of brown. You can make it a light brown if you'd like. I'm working with black so that you can see it. It does not have to be black, but I'll highlight it later with a little bit of white on it, or brown, maybe a little bit of tan. So I'm just going to do the one that goes around the tree now. And then usually we'd have some of that wire crossing over here too. So we know that it was tied there. And then you can make that, like I said, a brown, a tan, any color you want down there. I'm gonna throw a little teeny bit of white. Yeah. Maybe I'll just leave the black. I think I'm gonna leave the black on my brush. I'm not gonna clean it, so that it's got a little black mixed in, almost gray. And I'm just gonna do a couple highlights on this rope or wire, whatever you want it to be. So I'm gonna do a little bit here. Not doing a whole lot. So I just put a little bit on there, just don't forget to put the little areas where the wire was tied together. And then at the very bottom, you might want to put some kind of stones or a little bit of brown stuff down there to break it up a little bit. You might like it just as it is, but I'll show you what I mean. So I'm using that same big brush again, that like one that's as big as my thumb. And I'm gonna take that little bit of grayish color. And I'm just gonna put in a few little stone ideas down here. Now you could get right into it. You could do some flowers. You could have a squirrel sitting at the top of the tree. So I'm just tapping in a little bit of that gray. And then on top of the gray, I'm just tapping in a drop of green just to blend it so it's not standing out like huge gray. So I'm just tapping a little, I'm just putting a tiny green on my brush. And wherever I tapped in that grayish color, I'm tapping in a little bit of green. So it just looks like there's some stone or mud, dirt. And the more abstract you are, that just relays your personality. It's got nothing to do with your painting is perfect the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the way you want it to be. Now, my headlights here, I'm not too fond of them. So I'm going to put a little white, a little more white in there because I'm not too happy. I don't like them the way they are. Doesn't mean they're bad or wrong. They're just not what I want. So I'm going to highlight them a little bit of white. And you might want to put some white in different spots of the car. I mean, I wouldn't get too carried away, but there's a few areas where you can pull a little bit of white in. And I'm just doing some final touches on it. Trying to make that trunk stand out a little bit more. So I'm putting some strokes in there, like little coming towards it. Now with your tree, if you want to put flowers on the tree, you can do that. You want to make it a cherry tree, you can make it a cherry tree. You want to put some apples growing on it. You want to just leave it like it is. That's up to you. Maybe I'll put some apples in my tree. And we do that because it's in the distance just with the end of a big brush that you've got. Just like when you do your snowflakes or your stars, you just throw some apples in there, which I'm going to do. Now, why am I doing that? I don't know. I guess little character. Not necessary for you. I have a pear tree in my backyard, and every year the pears are always disgusting because they're all like distorted in shape and you can't eat them. And this year there are so many pears on there. The tree got so heavy, a whole limb broke off. And they look like they're all going to be good. So I'm kind of excited about that. That's like the first time in almost since we planted it. It never grows beautiful pears, and this year it's really good. So I threw a couple apples in there. We can put a bird. I can put a bird sitting up on the tree. Put some birds flying. You can put more clouds. This is now the area where you will add things that you want. So I put a little bird sitting on top of this stump. And I'm putting a few birds flying in the sky. And I feel really bad for Linny. I don't know why I have a feeling she was trying to get in because I heard that little ding, ding, ding. You know, I almost feel like changing my signature. And I know I tell you guys never to change it, but I don't feel I should continue giving my ex-husband pleasure of having his, even though it doesn't say McQuarrie, it still says McHugh. And I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about. Because that's not me anymore. Thank God. So just, work with it. If there's things you're not satisfied with, go keep playing with it. I'm sure that it's looking good. I want to see them, of course. This recording will be on our creative painting. So, if you need to go back for something, you can go back. So how's everybody coming along? You're good? Okay. Sharon? Oh, very cute. You did good on that chain. See, a lot of people have a hard time with that. Looks good. Perfect. I like your car's eyeballs. We just need to put a pupil in the middle of these and they look like eyes or eyelashes on them, right? Like they do that with these old cars, with the Volkswagen. If I was going to make this really suited to me, I would have painted it gray and put flowers all over it. Because that was my Volkswagen. I had a gray Volkswagen with flowers all over it and my name on the side. Because I told you I was a hippie, right? A hippie minus the drugs. Yeah, I wasn't into drugs. Anyways, girls, it's been a real slice. I can't hear you, Sharon. You're muted. Just a minute. let me unmute everybody so I can hear you. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't want to share a screen. What am I doing? Sorry. Could probably unmute yourself faster than I can do it. Did you unmute?
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
My sister, who is has been very sick. She has Guillain-Barré. She went out and she bought herself bronze colored Volkswagen convertible.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
she's driving around like a hot mama until she tries to get out of it.
Aw. Wow, that sounds really cool, huh? And I had one
It's
friend
nice
that had
riding in it.
I had a friend who had a Cadillac convertible, like a 59 or something like that. That was fun to drive in. Yeah, that was good. Anyway, I guess we're done. I missed you guys. I'm glad that we were back on. And so we try to do this every 2 weeks. And, you know, just so that we can start getting into the swing of it again.
I'm glad we're back on Zoom. Last time was lonely.
Oh, I know. I didn't like it. I couldn't see everybody. I couldn't see your paintings. I couldn't see your faces. I could, if I asked you a question, I couldn't see the thumbs up. Or, no, I tried it. If I really want this to go live on Facebook, I can do it. There's a little link to switch it over, and it will be on Zoom, and it will also be on Facebook Live. Or if I want it to go on YouTube Live, it will also go there. So if that's what I want. But I was just wanting it to get out there. But anyways, this was fun. I had a good time with it.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here. And we're sorry, Linny,
Thank
that you
you.
missed it, but I'm sure she'll see it on the video. She must have tried to get in. I don't know what happened. Anyway, God bless you. I'll see you in 2 weeks, I hope. Okay.
Take
All
care.
right. You take care of yourselves.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe.
You too.
You too.
Yeah.